So I have a question to pose to people today. Um, I normally do not do videos on this topic, but I think this is honestly a really good topic to talk about. And the topic is in reference to religious and spiritual people being spoon-fed and taught, all their lives, the idea that money is the root of all evil. Now, I just want to share my own personal experience a little bit, and I'm not really going to necessarily answer the question in this video, but I definitely do think that it's a good question, and it's a question that I think people need to really ponder upon. I've seen people from different backgrounds try to tackle this topic, and so what I'm going to do in this video is just basically speak from the heart and kind of just tell you guys what I have seen, and my own experience growing up in regards to so-called religion, mainly Christianity especially, and my perspective on just money in general. So first things first, I do not feel that money is evil. From when I was little and until now, I'm 24 years old and I've been on this planet for 24 years, there's not been a bone or a second that I've ever thought that money was evil. And in fact, in terms of affirmations and being able to make more money, what I've actually learned in my own personal life is that actually saying that money loves you and I love money and money loves me and I love what money can do for me as an affirmation is extremely helpful. It's actually very powerful. So that's the first thing that I'll add to this discussion and this question and the topic in general is from my own experience, what I feel about me, I have never seen money as evil. I have never ever seen money as evil. And what I do find, especially people who are Christians that I've spoken to, family, friends, people, over the internet, especially Christians in particular, I have heard always say how money is the root of all evil, and the love of money is evil. But you have to break down exactly what you mean by money. Do you mean paper money? Do you mean the energy that is money? Do you mean who gives you the money? How you make the money? You have to be specific. So for example, if someone's making money illegally or illegally or making money in a violent way that hurts other people or stealing money or is things like that, then obviously that paper money, that actual money, that the paper, that transaction has been done in a wrong, evil way, but the actual thing that money can do for people is not evil. So I've just always kind of felt that many people, especially religious, and people that are religious don't like to say they're religious, but people who are religious, they don't like to kind of, group together the idea of love and money or, prosperity and money. A lot of times, religious or spiritual people will say that, oh, money is from God, God gave it to me. They never really give themselves credit. And, I was raised as a Christian, and I've always felt that was a flaw. Personally, I've always felt that saying that, oh, God gave me that, but like you never acknowledge your hard work, you never acknowledge anything to do with like the 3D. It's always just, well, God paid it, God paid that bill, or God, and that's fine, but you should never take away from your own hard work. You should never ignore the fact that it is money. It is physical paper currency that's giving you that ability. The making of that money, that paper, that whatever, like that Bitcoin or currency or online currency or check or money, like you can't ignore the idea that without that actual physical money either in your hand, in your account, has given you the ability to pay your bills. through hard work. Yes, from God's help and the divine, yeah, of course, but it's also you. You are the representation of that money. It's your energy that you've used to make that money. Most of the time, it's your energy that's giving you the ability to make that money. So I just think in terms of religion in general, whether it's Christian, I can only speak for Christianity because that's what I was raised with. And it always really honestly bothered me how in the church, there was always this kind of taboo thing with money in Christianity, or just church in general. Now, in the modern era, more pastors are not as shy to speak about money or how to make money. But you're never really going to see a pastor say that you should love money or lust after money or want to make a lot of money. You're never going to hear a pastor really say that, oh yes, you should make a lot of money, as much money as you can, which I could never understand, because in all these so-called books that these pastors talk about, and people talk about visiting heaven and going to heaven, what do they always say, right? They always say that in heaven they see crystals and gemstones and streets of gold. All these so-called pastors or Christians say how they can see streets of gold. Heaven is rich, but yet but yet in the world, you never want to really acknowledge the fact that you could also have those riches down here. You don't necessarily have to die to get that, or to attain any level of that. If you really believe that God or the divine is omnipotent, then why would you ever limit God's blessing on your life? Why would you ever limit your ability as a person made in God's image, as they say, to make money? So I think for many, many years, generations really, spiritual people, not many spiritual, I would say more so religious people, they seem to have a problem with actually attaining money and keeping money. Some people will be Christian or so have you, and they'll make money, but when it comes down to it, they always have this energy attached to the money of letting it go, and not really wanting to have a system or a plan for generations upon generations. The plan of even having money should be to have that money is energy. I see money as energy. I see money as hard work. So when people say money, I don't think of it as tipping a stripper or tipping a drug dealer. Like, I don't see money in that negative lens. I see money as something that is for your family, is for you, is for your well-being, for your family's well-being, for your kids well-being. So that kind of taboo in religion of that, money, you shouldn't worship money. Even phrases like that to me have always been a head scratcher, because why even put it in a negative light? Why put money even close to that? If you don't want to be on the street or poor or suffering, then you should never deny the idea of money, which is energy, basically. There should be nothing in terms of saying, people say, oh, I'm broke, or I'm just so broke. I never say that, or I'm bored. There's certain words that I in my own personal life, I just refuse to say. Even if I was having a hard time, which is rare, but if I was really like down on my luck, I would never be the kind of person to say, that I'm broke, or that I have nothing, or I'm always gonna be this, or I'm always gonna, like, that's negative. Like, that, putting that energy onto your money, onto your well-being, makes no sense to me. So I think the reason why people, especially Christians, because I was raised Pentecostal Christian, I think the reason why they have a problem with that is because it's just the lingo. It's a church lingo. It's what you think is holy to say. People think that it's good to say that I don't want for anything, I don't need anything. But you do. The reality is that you do. You need a shelter. You need a car to get around. If not a car, you need a bike. If you don't need a bike, you need a bus. You need an Uber. Like, you need this. And without that, you don't have money. You can't even, if you don't even have money, you can't even get on a bus. You can't even drive to work if you have no money in your car to get gas. So, mocking money, shaming money, associating money with evil, or that if you have money, you're doing something bad. I'll never forget one day I went into Walmart, which is rare. My last time I ever went into Walmart, which was rare. I shop mainly other places. I don't really shop at Walmart, but one of the times I shopped at Walmart, there was somebody talking about somebody winning a lottery or something like that. You know, there's a conversation that people were talking about in the line, and I chimed in and said, "Oh, you know, good for that person. You know, good for them. They can help their family. They can get this. They can get that. Like that's a good thing." And the employee behind the desk said, it was a lady and two young men. They said, "Oh, you know, I can sleep at night. Those rich people, they can't sleep at night. Those people that have all the money, they can't sleep at night." And blah 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 blah. And everything to do with money or attaining money was just like, it's not of God. It's evil. It's evil. And what I'm saying is that those exact ideas and ideology and mindsets and false beliefs, those exact things is exactly why people who are good people, you know, don't have enough money to help other people. You know, if you don't have money, if you don't have anything that's solid beneath your feet, you can't help anybody else. So I just want to say, you know, people that are religious or spiritual, like whatever you want to call yourself, if you know, if you believe in God or you believe in spirituality, you believe in the divine, like we do, most of us here watch this video, like if you believe in like a higher source, you believe in God, angels, you know, if you really believe that, I encourage you to look at money from a different perspective. Look at money as something that can help people. Don't look at money as, oh, well, they must be selling drugs or they must be robbing. Don't, like, why would you ever think of money like that? Because if God made everything, God made money too. God made the money. Like, God must have had some kind of inspiration to give someone. Like everything is connected. So, you know, it to me it's so deep. But what I also want to say before I go, because this video has a lot of different topics that I honestly in a different time, in a different, you know, time frame, I could really break it down. But this video just came across to my mind because I was seeing different people talk about, you know, different things, and I just wanted to put my own spin on it. And so, you know, what also I'll add is the idea of you know, tithing. Okay, people in churches who have been sitting in pews for years and years and years and are still broke. And I'm not trying to be funny. I mean, I really mean that. There's nothing more heartbreaking, in my opinion, than seeing someone who does believe in Jesus Christ or God, whatever, and can't help themselves. You know, they're so busy feeding the pastor's pocket or feeding, you know, every new mission or whatever they're advertising, but they have no money for themselves. And that's what I feel has stopped a lot of communities, in my personal opinion, from becoming rich, to becoming affluent, to becoming what they were destined to be, because they fell for these traps and these loopholes and these false things that in reality it's not even real. But because God, the word God is attached to it, they can put fear in you and then take your money. That's all it is. And I'm not shaming tithing because I believe in tithing, not what they preach about tithing. I believe in what I think you can afford, right? So, for example, if tithing or tithe and offering, as we say, or donating money, it has to be from the heart. Anything you give to anybody to help or to it should be from the heart. It shouldn't be something where you feel guilty if you don't give $1,000 to your church, or if you don't give a love offering to your pastor. If you don't have it, you don't have it. And so growing up, you know, thankfully for me, I had a great childhood, and I really had a fabulous childhood. And you know, in my personal opinion, one thing that bothered me, one thing that really bothered me was the idea that people would continuously go to church and almost like pray for money, beg for money, you know, want God to drop a Mercedes, you know, want God to bless them with a mansion, but nothing was ever in the conversation about actually working, actually educating yourself on, if you did have that money, what would you do with it? Like, if you did become a millionaire overnight, where would you spend that? How would you save that? Like, would you even know how to invest that money? So it's just this kind of like, you know, fantasy, fairy tale, you know, airy fairy approach to just money in general. Like, my parents are extremely responsible. So when it came to tithing, offering, and giving money to the church, my mother had a slightly different approach than my father growing up. My father, I felt, felt like it was a scam. My father, I mean, I could tell you guys some stories, I know certain people who know certain pastors. So I'm just, I have information and I've seen it, I've witnessed it, I've been at certain tables with these conversations happening. So believe me when I tell you, like, I know what I'm saying. And I'll never forget, like, when I was over at a friend's house, back when I was like really, very young, I'm like maybe like teenage years, and my parents were sitting down with other adults, and they were talking about, this pastor and that pastor and this tithing, and I'll never ever forget when I heard the ushers of a church say that they don't tithe, they don't believe in it. And these are people who serve, big pastors, on the committee, in the background, making these. I mean, I'm not saying that every church is like this. I'm just saying that there's far too many churches that they preach about, send this money, do this, do that, but then the actual people who are working in the churches don't even believe in that. They don't even believe in tithing. So as you're sitting there in the pew, spending your rent, spending your car payment, they're getting rich off your back. In fact, funny enough, I actually was in a church for a very long time as a young girl, and there was a big scandal in the church I used to go to when I was in the choir, I was in the praise team. I grew up in church, so I know what I'm talking about. And I remember there was a big scandal in my church, and my father was so pissed off, and people left. And what happened was the two main pastors had a daughter, and the two pastors were kicked out. And what happened was the wife of the couple, the pastor, the wife's father took over the church, because what happened was they found out that they were taking money that was supposed to go to the church for them. And I'm not saying that they, like I said, I'm not saying that they all do it. I'm just saying that I've had real life experiences of seeing my family, like I've experienced, like, seeing pastors lie. I've experienced seeing people tithe and tithe and tithe, and then behind closed doors they're broke and they have nothing going for them, and it's just like a dead end, and quite frankly, that was one of the things about going to church that bothered me, that I would always see people like sheep, like complete sheep, listening to everything that the pastor or whoever that claims that they're Christian says, but yet they're not really I mean, if you ask for help, they're where are they to be seen? We've all seen these stories of pastors who, are supposed to be helping people, and then they don't. Like, when it comes down to it, their doors are closed, and they really don't really care about their congregation. I can go on for hours. I mean, I've gone through. I've hypocritical lies. I've given so many churches a chance, and I have seen so much just complete fraud, and just lies, like, honestly, just lies. And my thing is this: God doesn't need your money. Like, I just really feel like God does not need your money. God does not need your money. If you are going to a church and there's a certain amount of money that the church needs, that's fine. Okay, they can show the figures and show everything on the screen for all the congregation to see, and put it all out there. But if you're going to a church and they're not breaking down where that money's going to and what the real bills are, then I wouldn't go there. I've gone to churches where they have ATMs. They have ATMs in front of the church. I mean, is that what the gospel is about? Absolutely not. And so, good on the pastors and people who are not, taking folks for granted, but there's a lot of them out here who are. And, it's just a very sensitive topic. I understand this, but, I just felt like bringing this up, because I've been seeing this, for the past couple of days. I've been seeing different people from different backgrounds talk about this, and I really feel like, I've experienced things, I've witnessed things, so I've heard conversations about this. So I just know that a lot of these people are not genuine. They're not there to preach the gospel. They're not there to save lives. They're not there to help people. They're there to take your money. I'm sorry, like, the truth hurts. And, if you're going to a church where you're not really getting fed, spiritually, you're not able to even level up, and if you're going to a church and you feel like you're becoming broke and you're not really prospering, then you shouldn't be going to that church. I'm not going to step foot in a church where I feel like I am not being given information on how to be a multimillionaire or how to be a wealthy person. Like, there's just no reason for it. I'm not, like, why would I, like, why would I sit down in a building and waste 3, 5, 6 hours of my life where I could be at home working, where I could be reading a book, where I could be actually having a personal relationship with God, like itself. Like, I don't have to do all that to prove anything. You see what I'm saying? Like that, like your spirituality, like your belief, like your connection to God is never going to change. It's never going to change. Whether you're rich or poor, it should not change. And so if someone's rich and their idea of God changes, then it was never real to begin with. You see what I'm saying? If you were middle class or upper middle class, or regular, like a regular person, just working class, and you didn't have a lot of money, and then all of a sudden you walk into a lot of money and you say that, oh, God's not real, then guess what? You never really believed in God. You never really believed in that, to begin with. You see what I'm saying? If you went from rags to riches, and God, you never thanked God, you never had any gratitude in your heart, you never gave money to the poor, you never did nothing to help nobody, then that's just your character. That's nothing to do with money being evil, or you being evil. Like, the worst thing is, oh, if you have money, like, you're doing bad things. If you have a lot of money, you're doing bad things. Like, since when? Like, and I've heard so many people say this, that the love of money is the root of all evil. But what does that even mean? You use money every day of your life. Like, evil and money or love should not even be in the equation. It is what it is. It's energy. And you need a currency, you need money, you need something to pay your bills, to help people. It is what it is. It's not good or bad. You see what I'm saying? So that whole thing about money being evil, that doesn't make any sense to me, because in the same breath you say that when you go to heaven, there's mansions in heaven, right? They always say that this is what gets to me. There's mansions in heaven, and there's streets of gold, and there's emerald and crystal. There's even been people who claim they've gone to heaven. And every time you hear about heaven, so-called heaven, it's, oh, there's mansions, and there's streets of gold, and there's gardens of, that takes me, like, so why are you selling this idea of dying to get that? Why don't you preach that to begin with? Why don't you preach the idea, or talk about the idea of people having that heaven on earth? Why does someone have to die to attain that? And also, why does someone have to attain that through tithe and offering, or attain that through giving all their money to a pastor, or attain that through going to a building every Sunday? It makes no sense to me. A loving God would not have that approach, in my personal opinion. And so I'm confident when I tell you that God does not need your money, and money is not evil. Okay? It's what you do with the money. It's what you do with the money and the kind of power you have that makes it evil. Not the money itself. It's the person behind the money, and the energy and the vibe and the conviction behind the money. If anything, that's evil. But rarely is it ever evil. Rarely, people that are responsible, rarely are they the ones who are, murdering people, like just in broad daylight. Like, it's very rare. It's very rare. And so people, who, I mean, it's even the so-called minorities, or people that are if they have money, don't turn it into, oh, they must be they must be in the Illuminati. Like, for example, Beyonce, she's black. Oh, if she's rich, she must be doing, bad things. Why is that? Like, why do people continuously pump these lies into their brain? Money is not evil. It's the person behind the money. If someone's evil and they're doing bad things and they're rich, they'll get their karma. Trust me. Like, God doesn't sleep. You see what I'm saying? Like, it will come full circle. So, that's how I see it. But I think that people need to go and shoot towards well-being. There should always be topics of well-being and prosperity. There should never be topics in terms of money in regards to evil or a bad thing, because that's what's been holding people back for years. Especially black, Latino, indigenous people. that idea of actually having something, even Indian people in their own culture, they've had, they've had issues with that idea of having money and that money could be evil. It's not good, okay? It's not true. It's just simply not true. And in fact, it's designed to distort your mind, to not want to have well-being. All those doctrine, those false doctrine, and those lies are manufactured to make you poor, to make you not want to be where they're at, where that person's at, that white pastor, that black pastor, that it's designed to keep you suppressed. It absolutely is. So wake up, do your research, and to close, I just want to say, if God doesn't like nice things and doesn't believe in well-being, then why in the hell did he make a heaven full of mansions? Obviously God knows what's up. You see what I'm saying? And the God that I serve and the God that I believe in would want me to be prosperous and would want me to help people and would want me to live a fabulous life, okay? So I don't understand that. I don't understand the idea of that money is evil. Money is not evil. It's what people do with it and the people behind the money. So if people behind the money are hypocritical and are liars, then obviously that's their own thing, right? But in general, don't buy into that whole thing with money is evil and money is bad. Like, don't believe in that, because guess what? They're the ones who are making the money, and they're the ones who are laughing in your face while they count your money. That's all, guys. Bye.